Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call our regular council to order Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Just a reminder to everybody watching that this is our last regular council meeting, and then we'll go on a council break and come back in August. So don't be tuning in next Tuesday. We will not be here. We have an agenda in front of us. Mr. Coleman, any additions or deletions?
Nothing from administration, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Someone move the agenda as presented. Councillor Lewis, thank you very much. All in favor? That is unanimous. We have minutes of the June 14, 2022 regular council meeting. Looking for someone to move those as correct. Councillor Balazer, thank you very much. All in favor? That is carried. We have an opportunity at the beginning of every council meeting for anyone from the public who's not on the agenda but wishes to address council on a matter can do so at this time. I'm going to call first time, calling second time for anybody from the public, calling third time, anybody from the public. Okay, thank you. And we're going to move on to staff introductions, and you are at the top of the list, Mr. Coleman.
Madam Chair, members of council, it's my privilege today to introduce Alan Grayston. He is the newest member of our executive leadership team. Alan is the new general manager of development services and development and community services. He comes to us from Lamont County. Alan has numerous years of experience in municipal government, as well as the provincial government, as well as work in the private sector. So Alan will be responsible for planning and development to NegDev, Parks and Rec and Community Services, our FCS services, which is our community services, engineering and utilities. So that'll be his portfolio areas. So when you have a problem, I have a problem, he has a problem. It's kind of how it works in those areas. So feel free to reach out to Alan. I know he'll be connecting with you folks. And he's been with us a week. He's getting to know the organization and spending some time with his direct reports and getting to understand us. So
Welcome. I just have to run it again. I'm going to hurry to go over there. So on behalf of council, Alan, welcome to the organization. We look forward to many, many years working with you and adding to our team.
Great pleasure, and I look forward to the opportunities, challenges that are coming for you. Be a nice drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and Council, it's my pleasure to introduce Charlie Stanky, our newest heavy-duty mechanic. She has a bit of experience working on fire trucks before, so she's taking her EVT training as well now. And Charlie actually started with us on May 17th, but after a good orientation, we put her to work right away because poor Gerald was a little behind. So it's been almost 2 months she's been on now. So introducing her to the council.
Hope to have you for many years, and I'm glad to see that we have that nice gender balance now happening. And I know it must be tough with what you do with the size of the equipment and wrenches and all that. No, it's good. They're large. Well, in many ways, and thanks for joining us.
Siege.
Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Karen Oxley. Karen started with us a week ago today, July the 5th. So she's our new senior project planner in the regional long-range planning area. She'll be working in long-range planning group and managing projects. You'll see her down here, I'm sure, from time to time, presenting and giving council information, advice on various types of projects, lots of statutory planning work. And she'll be plugged into the land use bylaw project as well, alongside Colin, and helping that move forward. So Karen came to us from Parkland County, where she was for the past 6 years or so, and St. Albert before that. Right?
Yeah, kicking around for that.
Yeah. So we're very happy to have Karen here as part of the team.
Welcome, Karen. And it's nice to know that you have an urban and rural experience because we're right in the middle of both. So
Yeah, I've got
it'll work out
both for
really
you.
well. Thank you, and welcome. Moving into service awards, and I think the next three are yours, Chief.
Madam Mayor, Council, yes, some long service awards in ascending order. Brandon Richards Fedor has been with Leduc County for 5 years and was with Calmar before that, and came on as a full-time firefighter in January. So congratulations on your 5 years. Let me get this out of its beautiful plastic wrap.
You're welcome, Carrie.
It is.
Congratulations. Congratulations on 5 years, and we hope to have you for another.
Next, we have Colton Anger, who's completed his 10 years this year and was with News Rapid, and we were lucky enough to bring him on full-time as well in January. So Colton Anger in 10 years. Thank you, God.
And thank you for 10 years of service, and certainly hoping that our organization is giving you that opportunity you want to move ahead in the career of firefighting. And if it's not, I'll talk to you.
And lastly, for today, we have Adam Nee, who's received his provincial award of 12 years service in the province. So Adam was working in Nisku and got hired full-time in January. So congratulations on 12 years.
And Adam, thank you for your service. And we were just talking about how often we see your fire truck going by. So for sure, I'm glad you guys are here full time. Glad you're able to serve not only our business, but our residents. So thank you. All right, I'm just going to invite Councillor Lewis to stand, and we have an oath, so I just looked this up. You put your left hand on the Bible. There you go, and raise your right hand, and as close as you can to your
I'm gonna
microphone.
raise my right
You're
hand.
good. Yep.
I, Kelly Lynn Lewis, do swear I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of Deputy Mayor for Leduc County. So help me God.
Congratulations, and you can sign that and provide that back to Ms. Gavin at the end of the meeting, done already. And look forward to working with you as Deputy Mayor for the next 9 months. With that, we will move on to our first report, 5AI, which is an engineering policy U201 transfer station access. Thanks again, gentlemen. Be safe in your work. And Charlie. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Downey.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So this report is the transfer station access policy. Leduc County manages access to our county transfer stations through this policy, and it's a residential based program, and we use a access card program to manage that access. The current policy is due to be reviewed, and as well there was changes needed because through our strategic waste management plan, we changed the frequency of distribution of the cards from annually to every 2 years. This policy, revised policy, went to the policy committee. I was not able to attend because I was sick that day, but I think it was about a month or so ago. And so they've seen it and had some comments on it. And their requested changes are reflected in the revised policy. So attached is the current policy and then the revised policy. Administration also removed the procedural content of the policy. And one other note is that the review period was extended from 2 years to 4 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Downey. Councillor Scobie, as chair of the policy committee, any additional comments?
Just make note that we were just cleaning up some patient services. They're up to customer access cards, the timing and criteria. And that we're moving to updating every 4 years. So cover what we changed on this.
Okay, thank you. I'll open the floor for any comments, questions, or debate. Councillor Vandenberg.
So the access cards, are they similar to what they've traditionally been? Are they changed? Kind of the colored wallet size with a number, is that what is currently and will continue to be?
Yes, there'll be different colors every time we distribute it, and it'll be the wallet size.
So it'll be every 2 years, and of course, in the policy, you have it such that they cannot be reproduced. Although, how do you manage that?
Well, I mean, we don't have the greatest data set for this. We don't have a good data set for it, but if there's concerns from the transfer station attendants, if they bring something forward as far as concern with the access card or a resident, or if they're not quite sure, then we have ways to validate that. So thank you.
Mr. Downey and probably Ms. Klamosko, I just want to thank you both for the information you put in the last County Chronicle that talked about these access cards as well as the large cards for the landfill station. I was already getting lots of questions on that, so it was very timely it came out. It was well written and clarified why we're not using the small access cards at the landfill anymore. So thank you for that. I know your communications and you would have provided that information as well. Any further comments or questions? I'm seeing none. We have a motion to approve. Looking for someone to put their name to the motion. Councillor Scobie. The Leduc County Council approved UT 01 transportation access policy as recommended by the Municipal Policy Committee. Motion is on the floor. Any further comments, debate? Seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to Ms. Klamosko. We have a recommendation related to the recreation cost share in the city of Leduc. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. So this afternoon, I have a report to present to Council. We had brought a draft of a City of Leduc cost sharing agreement back on June 14th for Council's review. There had been some feedback received from Council at that time in regards to looking at possible amendments to allow for termination with notice and also to clarify the capital cost share process for approvals within that agreement. So this item was referred to come back to today's meeting. So we wanted to provide the update today. So the process that we'd like to move forward with is what we've done in the report is highlighted the two sections within the agreement with some proposed changes to the terminology within the agreement that we wanted to show Council this afternoon. And with Council's approval, we would move forward to work with administration to do the amendments to the agreement and work with the City of Leduc, and then bring this back to Council for approval back after Council break.
Thank you very much. Councillor Smith.
I just want to thank you for going through and actually doing the couple of small changes. They make a really big difference. An end date, I think, is important. The amount, the cost share isn't in question, just the agreement and the end date, and also the approval on the other. So you've done two changes. I certainly support those going forward. I hope the City of Leduc is also able to accept these changes, which I believe is just clarity for Leduc County. And on that, I have one question before I'll leave it at that. Can we still do the cost share if they aren't agreeable to the couple changes, or do we need a written agreement to give them $400,000?
Well, we have held off on doing a 2022 payment without having this 2022 agreement in place. So at the current time, we haven't made any payments. So I would expect that we would want to come to some agreement with what that cost share agreement would look like. So there may be some further discussion required if the city of Leduc does not support making these changes.
And if I may, just to follow up on that, I would be prepared today to move this very common sense recommendation that council direct administration to work with the city of Leduc administration to review the proposed changes to the Leduc recreation cost share agreement, which amends the agreement to allow it to be terminated with notice and to clarify the capital cost share process for approvals.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Comments, question and debate. Councillor Vandenberg.
Just a question to administration. I'm on page 19, specifically 3.2 of the term, to which you speak, which termination will take effect 12 months following such delivery. Now, knowing that, and please confirm that typically any conversations around the agreement essentially take place at a point in time, generally speaking, which is fairly consistent. So if you were to say a notice of 12 months, would that then lend itself into another year of conversation, whereby if you said termination shall take up to 12 months following such delivery, then that becomes a moot point. Just wondering if that is something that administration would see as being problematic.
Ms. Klasko.
So our agreements that are in place are on an annual basis. So this just allows for that 1 year of notice period to terminate, just because we do, make the payments on an annual basis. So I believe that the wording that is proposed here just allows for that notice period, and we do allow for that kind of that 1 year of notice to the party that is affected. So I think it accomplishes with the terminology that exists in the proposed amendment here. I think it meets the requirement.
Further, if I might just suggest a solution. So if we were to engage in conversation, come up to an understanding in March, and then decided in September to terminate, when then would the termination be in effect? And how will it influence the following year's conversation? This is just a test question to make sure that it's going to work for you.
Yeah. Well, with every agreement, it is for 1 calendar year. So we could, I'm just trying to think about.
Ms. Klasko, perhaps if we inserted, and I hear what Councillor Vandenberg is saying, and it kind of makes sense. Either party may terminate this agreement by delivering a written notice at the negotiation, like at the what do we call it? The anniversary of the document. So you have to give your notice when you're actually sitting down to talk about it. You can't say, yeah, it looks good, and then 3 months later say, no, we changed our mind.
Would we want to limit ourselves to that time period only? If something occurred throughout the year, would you want to limit yourself that you did not give that notice at that time of negotiation? Then you're limiting your ability to give that notice. So I think that would be a risk. I think with tying it to a specific time frame, whereas 1 year, I think what 1 year does for us is that because the current agreement doesn't have a termination, the city of Leduc or other municipalities that we partner with, this is similar wording that we have within fire agreements. It does give them, I think, some assurance that we will give them notice if we intend to change something moving forward. So I do think it allows for that consideration for them, just because it does have a financial impact to the municipality. So I would I guess it would just be a risk to limit ourselves to a specific point in time. I would prefer to see a 1-year timeframe, just because then, something that's unexpected that occurs within a calendar year allows us to make a decision throughout that entire year.
Councillor Vandenberg, explanation? I just
Just further to that scenario, once again, if it was all approved at the anniversary date, let's call that March. But further down the line, the city of Leduc comes to, or it'd be more like the county decides that in September, we wish to terminate the agreement. That then would put us into finish off the current cycle or year, and then we're obligated into the next following year in some capacity. That's kind of the scenario I'm trying to paint. And is that doable for administration? And if it is, I'm good.
Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, that's not a problem from an administration standpoint. But what it is it's the courtesy of a 1-year
Yep.
transition period of time. Now, it's not precluding us from agreeing to a mutually agreed upon date sooner or later, if that should occur. I mean, administration is coming at this from the standpoint of it's good language to have a termination clause in an agreement.
Yep.
We're not anticipating any issues, but it's good to have that there. So I think we can work with the wording that's here. And it gives us the certainty, I think, that we should have in all our agreements.
Thank you. Is that
Well, that's
satisfactory?
fine.
Councillor Smith?
And again, I'm in agreement with senior management on the timelines, and the recommendation stands as is. So we'll ask to call a question.
Just a comment before, if I may. Just want to say that myself, Councillor Vandenberg, sit on this committee, and we did miss that piece. Probably because it hadn't been thinking about it. We heard from Mr. Honesty that this has always really been a good faith agreement, and we know it'll continue to be that, even with an out clause. It is still a good faith agreement. Our residents do get a lot of good recreation activities through this. And so I don't think the city of Leduc will have any issue with adding that in. Councillor Lewis?
Thank you. This is adding this bit of wording in there does protect both parties, not just Leduc
Correct.
County. So I would support this today.
Correct. Any other comments or questions? Motion is on the floor. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And now we're on to Ms. Gavin for the next 5CI.
Thank you,
And
Madam Chair and council members. There's a recommendation in front of you for legislative services policies that are up for review. There's 3 of them: CC04, council registrations, CC05, proclamations, and CC06, recognitions. And hopefully we can do it in one motion. Basically, they're just minor wording changes, starting with CC04, the deletion of council attendance at prayer breakfast offered throughout the region, and UDI monthly meetings, as these no longer occur, and then changing the date to every 4 years in accordance with our standard. So if there's any questions.
questions on council registrations? And we know that any of the registrations not on that list come to council and can be approved by council at that time.
That's
Okay.
correct. There's a clause in there that says that aren't to come before council.
And seeing no other hands, CC05 proclamations.
Correct. Thank you. This is providing the council the opportunity to recognize initiatives of charitable and nonprofit organizations and increase public awareness of initiatives that have significance to Leduc County, and they're considered as requested. The recommended changes to this policy is in the administrative responsibilities and taking out the procedures. And the change basically is saying to coordinate through the legislative coordinator.
Questions on CC05 proclamations? Anything from yourself?
No, it's just seemed to be, the main purpose was to streamline the operations, so. Take care of that. So that's what the intent was.
Thank you. CC06 recognition and commemoration.
Thank you. And there was just minor wording changes to this policy. It's for recognition commemorations as requested by council members. So we took out the clause we changed the definitions, took out CAO and replaced it with county manager. We took out grandparents as recommended by the Municipal Policy Committee. And then the wording changes, and that was all the changes, Madam Chair.
Okay, CC 06, Councillor Scobie.
That covered it pretty well.
Okay. Any other questions on those three?
I just have a comment. Did you want them now or after?
No, we can have them now.
Okay, while we're on that, I'm just looking at some of the approved conferences that we've had. And of course, over the years, they've faded out. Some of them are important, some aren't. And I thank you for taking out the ones that don't seem to be attended a whole lot. I just have some questions on one of them, and it's from my failing this year to attend FCM in Regina. I had joked about it, and probably one of us should have gone. It was an opportunity. Just to comment, I see within approved for FCM, we have a maximum of 3 council members on a rotational basis. I'm just going to appeal to my fellow council members. If we were to make that to a maximum of 3 council members, then a council, you could go maybe twice in your term. Because I know it's in Calgary, it's in Toronto in 23 and Calgary in 24. What I was saying is sometimes they won't go, but if we had the availability of 4 people going, and of course this builds on to our advocacy, and that's where I failed by not going to Regina. I thought I probably should have and could have done work there, and for that I've thought about it. So again, just appealing to fellow councilor members, if you go, you have an obligation to be professional and attend and advocate and be there. So if you put your hand up that you're actually willing to do advocacy work on behalf of council, I would like to see that one go to a maximum of 4. Not that you have to send 4, but it means that within a 4-year term, chances are you could attend twice, not just once. And I'll make another comment just on another one, and something that I was lucky enough to attend. And it's number 3, the last bullet, that the mayor or designate be authorized to attend Alberta Urban. That should be Alberta municipalities now, just in the changing of it, because it's not Alberta Urban Municipalities Association. I would like to appeal to mayor, councillor, 2 people be allowed to attend. I think when I did attend, it was okay to have the mayor of Calgary there, the mayor of Edmonton, the mayor of Red Deer. I don't get to talk to them a whole lot. I do know some of them. So I'm just wondering, I would love to attend Alberta municipalities. I think it's a really good area. It's always nice to know what the competition is talking about when it's generally you some of the times to what they're doing. So just appealing to council members that a change go for FCM to maximum of 4 per year, and that the mayor or 2 councillor members be authorized to attend Alberta municipalities.
Thank you. I'll just respond. I'm not in favor of changing maximum of 3 to 4 for FCM. It's generally a fairly expensive conference. However, I do like your suggestion around AMA. Unlike you, I do get an opportunity to spend a lot of time with other mayors, especially regional mayors. So it could say 2 councillors, and that includes the mayor if they want to be authorized to attend. And I guess that would be on a rotational basis like we would do with FCM as well, so that we know how we're doing that. But I'm not in favor of moving from 3 to 4 on FCM. Like I said, it's an expensive conference. When you have 4 people, then you have quorum. So any kind of discussions or decisions could be council decisions. So I would support keeping it at 3, but making the change for AMA. Thank you. Floor is open for any other comments or debate. Councillor Vandenberg.
Yeah, I would echo that agreement, and the consideration is quorum. Back home, still people doing business. Not saying that there's no value in that having 4 there, but 3 should be able to carry on the business, and we still have quorum at home. And certainly recognizing the value of going to Alberta municipalities, as it's been stated, I think is well worth our time to invest in.
Okay. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. I I'm just looking at the FCM, and is it determined rotational basis by division? Because I don't think that's how we've typically done it. I think it's kind of been like, who's ready to go?
If I may, in the past, we've just selected randomly and then made sure everybody had one turn before anybody got a second turn.
Right.
So there were 7 names and then 3 gone, then there's 4 people the next time. Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe it's not necessarily
rotational, it's
by
just random.
division,
Yeah.
which might solve that
Yeah.
concern.
So are you suggesting remove rotational basis by division?
Yes.
Is that, would that still provide clarity to administration?
Yeah, I think the idea is if there's 3 counselors that want to go, then they go.
And if there's 4, we'll take 3 names and those 3 people go.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
council make that decision.
Okay, so we can strike that. Thank you. Councillor Vandenberg.
I was just gonna say, I would support that change.
Okay. Any other thoughts on 3 under AMA? And again, yeah, they're no longer urban, I guess. That we just change it to 2 counselors be authorized. I'm seeing lots of nods. Okay. Any other comments or questions? So that's CC04. Any other comments, questions, or suggested changes for CC04, CC05, or CC06? Councillor Vandenberg.
I'm not sure if we have, but I would move the recommendation to approve CC04, CC05, CC06, 04 as amended.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with an as amended under CC04. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? It's unanimous. On to 5C2, which is just Rail Safety Week, I believe. Proclamation, just like we said. Ms. Gavin, any comments on the proclamation for Rail Week?
No, it's before you. Thank you, Madam Chair and Council. We received a request for a proclamation from CN, and it's before you in there. If you have any questions, just ask.
Councillor Vandenberg.
Well, I have no problem with having a proclamation that brings awareness to something that's important like rail. I do notice that Rail Safety Week, in my mind, should be including not only CN, but CP. They're also in the business as well. And I'm just kind of wondering why CP isn't included. I understand that CN made the request. And if we have a proclamation for CN, how is that viewed by CP, who I feel is an equal partner when it comes to rail and rail safety?
Mr. Coleman.
So Madam Chair, members of council, the proclamation is a general proclamation for Rail Safety Week in general. So it doesn't speak specifically other than the whereas that it was requested by CN, which is in fact the case. But whether it's CP or any other rail, the idea is Rail Safety Week across Canada. This is typically driven by CN as a national rail line. They always have, but it doesn't preclude those others from recognizing it, promoting it. CN pushes it more than the other rail lines do, but it is a generic Rail Safety Week proclamation.
Okay, so no opportunity for biasness between one and another.
No.
Okay, I'm fine with it then.
Okay, thank you. So we have a proclamation for Rail Safety Week to be held across Canada, September 19th to 25th. Looking for someone to, Councillor Lewis.
Just a question on clarity on the date on the bottom. It says Monday, June 27th, and we are July 12th. So should the date be changed? I understand it might have been pre-done, but. Okay.
That will be amended. Yep.
Okay, I can move as amended.
Okay. Councillor Lewis will move the proclamation as amended. Any other questions? I'm seeing none. All in favor? That's unanimous. And we will adjourn at 2:03. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.